Okay, finally back for another installment of Can It Be Made with Elementor. And today we're going to look at slack.com, the homepage. And so, in the interest of keeping this video as short as possible, I'm just going to jump straight in. And we're going to start by setting some expectations. Okay, so here we are on the slack.com homepage. And let's just scroll through quickly. We can see at the top this nice hero section with the animation. Scroll down and we've got this tabs thing which explains the software to you, to the user. Over here we've got some text on the left and an image. And as we go down, we've got some columns that are set to pop out on hover. And they have a nice drop shadow. So all of this towards the bottom of the page, so like from here down, is relatively simple, and I don't think we would need to do that in this episode. So what we will do is create the header using Elementor. Then we'll create this hero section, and then if there's time, we'll create this section. Now I have actually tried a bunch of the stuff to see if it works beforehand, so I'm not going in blindly. And as far as this, there's Slack right now. Maybe I should turn that off. Okay, so here, by default in Elementor, there's no tabs thing that looks like this, and none that auto scrolls through here. So I did create this with an extra plugin. But then I still had to do a bunch of CSS to get it to look like this, and didn't have the scrolling function. So if this was going to be created for a working project, we'd probably actually have to use some custom coding to do this, because I don't know of any Elementor widgets or add-ons that can do this. But as I said, if we have time, I'll go through it and I'll show you how I did it and how I styled it with CSS. But this is primarily what we're going to focus on here, this hero section at the top. Now, as you can see, there's some really there's quite a cool animation that's going on here with these little yellow, blue, red, and green elements from the Slack logo, and then some of the integrations that they have. They've got the logos here, so there's HubSpot, Dropbox, Asana, Google Drive, Zendesk, and then I don't know what these other two are. But this is pretty cool. Now, just to set some expectations, this, to be honest with you, is not really achievable with Elementor on its own, and I'll explain to you why. So if we go up here in my browser bar, where all these extensions are, there's this one called Wapalizer, and if I click on that, it's going to show us a whole bunch of things that have been used on this website. So we've got Google Tag Manager, we've got Google Analytics and Optimizely. Now, this is the one that I'm interested in this case. It's called TweenMax, and it's a JavaScript framework that is used to create animations. And that's what they've used to create this animation in the background. Now, there are ways to integrate TweenMax into WordPress, but it's technical and you've got to edit the functions.php file or some other parts of the theme to include the code on every page and all of that kind of thing. And so we're definitely not going to do that. So to set the expectations, what I'm saying is this cannot be done straight with Elementor, but we are going to create sort of a duct tape, like a hack version of this. Okay, so we can do something similar with Elementor, but it's not going to be exactly like this. So I just did want to set those expectations. And so, cool, I think we should jump straight into it. One thing I will say quickly is that I'm using Page Builder Framework as a theme, and I highly recommend this theme. It's super fast, it's super lightweight, it's really easy to use, it's got some great features like hooks and all kinds of other things, and I'll do a Page Builder Framework video hopefully soon. But to keep this video as short as possible, I'm not going to go into the theme settings But I did go in beforehand, change a few colors of text and links and buttons, and I changed some of the fonts. Okay, so one last thing before we jump in. Sorry, I did forget to do this. With the regarding fonts, there's this cool extension called What Font, and if you click on that and you hover, it tells you what font is being used. And so this font you can see is called Larse, I think is how you pronounce it. And then the regular like paragraph text is using a font called Circular Pro. Now these fonts are both premium fonts. They are paid fonts, and so I don't have those fonts, so we're not going to be using that. But if we go quickly and look at Slack's brand guide, which I did download, and if we scroll down to the typography section, bear with me, we're getting there we go. Okay, so now they've told us here which fonts. That's the Larse one, and then here's the Slack Circular. And if we scroll down a little further, there's something interesting. So they say over here G Suite substitute. And so when creating things like Google Docs and Google Slides, their premium preferred fonts that they use on their website and in all their branding may not be available. In that case, use Proxima Nova. Now, Proxima Nova is also a premium paid font, but the closest Google font that is free that we can use is called Montserrat. So that's what we're going to be using. So if there are any like typography nerds out there and you're getting upset because I'm trying to make it look like this but the font's not the same, then please just try to calm down. We're going to use a free Google font, and so I just wanted to mention that too before we go. The color of the font is not black, it's almost black. The hex code is 1D, 1D, 1D. So it's very close to being black. Okay, let's jump in. So we're gonna first create a header. So the way that we create a header using Elementor is we go over to our menu on the left, and just below the Elementor menu is an associated menu called Templates. Hover over Templates and then select Theme Builder, and we're going to click there. And now this is going to show us all of our theme sections that we've built, or theme pages and those kinds of things. Obviously there are none because this is a fresh installation. So at the top here we can just click Add New, and then we're going to select Header, and then we're going to just call this Slack Header. You can call it whatever you want. Click on Create Template. That's going to load up this little window where we get to decide if we want to use a pre-made block or not. I'm actually just going to skip that, so you can hit the X in the top right, and then we're going to get started. So let us have a look here. So kind of what we need is a column for the logo, a column for the menu, and by the way, we're not going to do these drop downs either, just for the interest of time. So we need a column for the logo, column for the menu items, a column for that sign in, and a column for that. Another way we could do this little bit on the right is to create a second menu and have the menu there, and then style this as a button, but I'm not going to do that. So let's jump in. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So we're going to say plus, and we're going to choose 4 columns. Okay, in this first column on the left, we're going to place an image. And I have actually, if we go look over here, I've downloaded some of the Slack logos from Slack's brand assets page. And so I should be able to find that in the media library. Oh no, I did this on a different site actually when I Okay, so let's see, where did I keep all of these? There. It's that one. Okay, and now we need to get it like a similar size. For this, I'm using a cool little tool for Mac called Pixel Snap. So that's 100 by 25. So let's give this a custom size and see if this works. 100 pixels by 25 pixels. Now, sometimes these things don't work for SVG files, and to be honest with you, I don't actually know why. So we can just drag this to make it smaller, and then we can get an idea of how big it is just by using this again. 94. So we can make that slightly bigger. I think that'll do. We're not trying to be pixel perfect here right now, because this is not a client project, is it? So, okay, now we need to create a menu. So the way we're going to do that is first to create a menu within WordPress's menus functionality. So just copy that to go back to the admin dashboard. Okay, so to create a menu, we're going to go under Appearance, Menus. Let's give our menu a name. So we'll call this Main Menu. Create it. And now, because we don't have any pages, ordinarily what you'd be able to do is select the pages you want to add to the menu, select the posts that you want to add to the menu. But since we haven't created any for this, I'm just going to create some custom links, and we're going to use these words. So y slack solutions resources, y slack solutions, resources, enterprise, and pricing. Pricing. Okay, so now we can save our menu. We have created that menu. If we go back to Elementor, now we're going to go back to our widgets by clicking on this little icon on the top right of the Elementor panel. And right here we have nav menu. So we're going to drag in the nav menu. And you'll see that it's automatically populated it with our menu items. That's because we only have one menu inside of WordPress. And so, well, this is saying there are no menus in your site, but that's because I created this without refreshing the page. So I'm going to just say publish with save and close for now, so that I can save this and reload the page. Okay. Okay, so now if I select that, you'll see here it gives us the option to choose from all of our menus. Obviously there's only one, so we can only choose that one. But that's okay, because that's the one that we want. So let's I'm just going to drag these in anticipation for what we're going to do with them. Okay, so now I obviously didn't change the menu text settings in the theme correctly, or at all. I don't remember. So text color, as I said, is going to be 1D, 1D, 1D. Let's go to the typography, and we're going to change the weight of this font to 500. Let's see. Maybe even a little lighter than that. I think we'll go with that. I think that will be fine. And then we need to change this hover state. I don't want to spend too long on this, but let's see. We can go to hover and let's see what happens here. Okay, blue with an underline. Okay, let's go back to content over here, and where it says pointer underline, we're going to say none, so we don't get that green underline. And then let's go back here, and on hover for typography, we're going to have underline. Oh, you see that this doesn't pertain to hover only. So that's unfortunate. You can only change the hover color. Well, we can change the color to this blue that they've got, I guess. I don't actually know what color that is, but let's just make one. So we'll choose blue, go a little bit darker, something like that. Oh, maybe not dark enough. That'll do for now. Let's update. It's going to keep asking us to add conditions, which maybe I should just do that now. We're going to add this to the entire site so that the header takes over the theme header. Okay, so we've got that menu and we've got that logo, and now we've got to put these other two things in, which is the sign in button. Okay, so we're going to go back to our widgets. We're just going to take some text from the text editor, and we're just going to say sign in. Okay, now you can see that that is aligned to the top, which is annoying. I'm going to the section here, and I'm going to say vertical align middle. That's going to align everything to the middle, and then to this little column, I'm going to go vertical align middle. That hasn't done anything, which is really annoying. I think it's because Elementor adds this weird padding underneath paragraph text. So if I do that, you see now, if I add that full stop, and then if I delete that and I update, it's going to stay like that until I make another change in the visual editor or go back to the visual editor, then it does that again. So that's really annoying. Let me try using a heading over here instead. Now, this is not something that you should do, by the way. But we can make this paragraph text. So sign in. Update is kind of a twitch for me, so I'm just going to be clicking update quite often. Okay, so let's go and change this text color. And typography, we're gonna change to 400. Let's change the size to 15. It already is 15 because I set that in the theme. Okay, and then we can give this a link, which is gonna make it a link. Now there is a difference there. I have noticed this on hover goes to the same purple color as this button. In the interest of time, I'm going to leave that out. If we were using this way, we would have to make that. I would probably do that with CSS, I think, because there's no hover state like option for this element. Okay, let's go back to widgets. Let's get a button. There is something that I actually want to do over here. I want to go to Elementor Settings. No, over here, sorry. Default colors. No, where is it? It's I'm gonna go to these global settings. No, let me go back in here. I'm gonna go to Elementor and settings, and under style I'm actually going to wait, let's see. There we go. Disable default colors and default fonts. Save changes. Because you can see I've changed stuff in the theme, like the button color and the headings and stuff, and it's not working in Elementor. And that's because Elementor's overriding the theme settings by having these unchecked. So if I update this and I reload it, what we should see is a change there. Okay, it changed the text on the button, but it didn't change the color. So that's unfortunate because I think I changed it in the theme. Maybe I didn't, and I think I did, or I did it on the test site that I did before this. Okay, so we've got our button here. That's going to say get started. Now I'm going to do something here that you probably shouldn't do and type in all caps. Actually, let me not do that because that's bad practice. Get started. Make this a bit bigger so that that button, what size is that button? They look kind of similar. I think there's probably a bit more padding in the top and bottom there. I think we'll stick with that. Okay, let's go to style, change the background color, and the typography. The font's going to be a bit bolder there. Is it? Not really. Maybe 500. And then we're going to do text transform. This is how we get to uppercase. It's better because if someone wants to change it later on and it's like hard coded or like written in all caps, it will not be alterable, if that's a word. What are we doing? Okay, I'm gonna make that a bit wider and that a bit wider. I think that font needs to be slightly bolder. So let's go back to the button, style, 600. It's a bit too much, but because they're different fonts, they're behaving differently. Okay, so there's our header. I think I'm okay with that for now. Although these fonts do need to be smaller, I think. Right? Let's do it like this. Because they're different fonts, the font sizes will be different. So that height is 72. And that height is 76. So let's change that font size to 14. That's cool, I think. And then we'll change this one to 14 as well. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time on the header because it's just a header, right? But that's our header, so that's done. We can close that, go back to our dashboard, and then we're going to start creating that hero section. So we need to create a page. So we can just go to the pages page and then click add new at the top left over here where you can see I'm hovering over and making the button blue. Or if, let's say we were on the dashboard, I'm sure most people know this who've used WordPress, but you can hover over pages and just click add new right from there. So we can create the page title inside of Elementor, but I'm just going to do it here in Gutenberg. Let's call it Slack home page, and publish, and then click edit with Elementor. Now, something you're going to notice is that our page title is showing up here, and we don't want that. The probably quickest way to do that is to go here to the settings icon right on the bottom left, and under page layout choose Elementor full width. If you choose Elementor canvas, it's going to remove the header and footer as well. So we're just going to go with full width, and that will remove that. And so here we are on our blank page, ready to start building our header section, hero section, sorry. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a 3-column section because we need the space on the sides. And so I'm going to click here and say 3, and then I'm going to select this middle one and set its width to 50%. And then you would think it would make the other two 25 each, but it doesn't. So let's go and make each of those 25. And then what's kind of annoying is that it makes that one 49.33. And I don't know why, but just let it be. Okay. One other thing, I'm going to select the section here, and I'm going to change its content width to full width so that it stretches right across the page. Okay, so we're going to put a heading in there. Let's go. Click on to go to our widgets, drag in a heading, and we're going to add the text over here. And let's go to style. I'm not sure why it's set to H2, that's why it's small. I'm going to set that to H1 back on the content tab. I definitely set this to a bold weight in the theme, so I'm not sure why that's not bold, but let's just deal with it in here. Go to typography, or let me do this and see. No. Okay, so weight 700, and let's see if that goes on to 2 lines. Okay, and it's supposed to be centered, so let's go back to the content tab, alignment center. Cool. This color doesn't look as dark either, so let me set that in here as well. Yep, that's darker now. Okay, so we've got a good start. I think what we need is a spacer, because we've got some space over here, which is roughly 100 pixels. So let's put in a spacer. Let me just drag that in above there. And that's set to 50, but I imagine it's more than that. 121. So let's reduce that by 20 pixels and make that 30. Okay, we're off to a good start. So now we need this line of text. So we can just bring in text editor and add that. And we're going to go to style, and we're going to center align that, and let's make that 17. Let's see, that's all right. And then let's make this 500. Yeah, already. Okay, now that should go into one line when we do this. Let's check our spacing here. It's like 25-ish pixels, which is not what we have here. So several ways we can do that. I'm just going to give this a top margin of 20. and that should do. Okay, now we've got to add this form in. Now this is a bit of a challenge because Elementor doesn't allow you to put the button next to the form field by default. And I actually don't know many of the Elementor add-ons that do that either. I do have one that does that though, so I'm going to use that in this instance. And it's called .NET Add-ons for Elementor, if I pronounce that correctly. I'm going to refer to it as PAFE from now on. I don't know what other people call it. I'll just be calling it PAFE. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go. Now, you might not have this. If you really have to do a form field like this, you could use probably something like Gravity Forms or Fluent Forms, or there's so many WordPress form thingies. If you want to do it with Elementor widgets, so far this is the only one that I know of that does that, and it is called PAFE, and it's not showing up here, so I'm going to pause and go and make sure. Actually, why pause? Let me go to those settings. Okay, let's see. Here it is. So .NET add-ons. My license is active. And okay, so maybe when I set these I didn't save changes. So these are all the different widgets and functionalities that you get with this add-ons for Elementor, and it's actually really good. Now one of them is a form builder, and it's got a whole bunch of other things like conditional form logic and multi-step forms and form field calculations. These are all really cool things, so I'm gonna save that. Just make sure that it's saved. That's taking a while. This is odd because I'm actually doing this locally on my local machine. I actually tried this video I started yesterday, and it was so slow working on local by Flywheel that I had to go and change a whole bunch of settings, which if you need to know what those are, I can tell you. Just put a comment and I'll reply. Okay, so now if I reload this, one of them, by the way, one of those things to make uh, local by Flywheel faster was to change this. If you look in the URL bar here, was to change the default like TLD, because apparently .local is reserved by Mac for something. I don't know if that's the case. Also, you have to increase the memory limit in the config.php and in PHP any. Okay, we're gonna add a form, right? So let's scroll down. We're gonna find PAFE. There we go. And so the way this form builder works is a little bit different than others because each field that you create is its own thing. Oh wait, I made a mistake here. We're gonna first get an inner section to make 2 columns. Then I'm going to put that form field in there. And so how this works is each form field is its own. So here we have a form ID. So if I call this Slack form, and then I'll show you why we need that. The field ID, I'm just going to call this email and update. We can add a placeholder in here, or say your work email. Your work email. And then over here we're going to add a button. So we're going to go to, because this button needs to be associated to this form, we're going to have to use the PAFE form builder. So we're going to take this submit button, pull it in there, and then for some reason on the local thing it has this spinning loading thing. Now that doesn't happen on a live server, but for some reason on local it does, and I honestly don't have any idea why that is. I should probably get hold of the developer and find out. In the interest of time, I'm not going to style this exactly like this. Okay, you can see this form field is much taller, and so is the button, and they match in size. So if I made that a medium button, it's then going to be bigger than the form field, I think. Oh no, there, it's equal. So we'll leave it like that. Obviously we're going to... Oh, okay, I was going to show you that thing. When the button's selected, we now have to give it the same form ID as the field, so that when that button is clicked, it knows that it's submitting all the form fields from that field. Right? That makes sense? I hope so. So what are we going to say here? Try for free. Try for free. And then we'll go to style. And typography. That looks like 600, and uppercase and smaller, I think. And then we need to change the background color. I know you want to get to the animation part, and that's the interesting part. Okay, so I'm gonna make this shorter. Now, one thing you'll notice is these are not centered, which is a little bit annoying, and I found that if we change this to full width, no, I wonder why that didn't happen. That happened before. No, that's for vertical. Oh, it was this. I select the column, or is it that column? I don't actually know. Horizontal align. No. I mean, when I did it previously, it worked. That's very cheaty. Okay, wait. This is what I did. I set the boxed width to like 520 or something. Okay. So you see now what that has done though is it has made the form field a little bit taller than that, which is super annoying, and I would definitely fix, but I'm going to leave it for now because I think we're going on like probably 40 minutes or something already, and there's still quite a bit to do. So okay, we can style this thing. We can give it a border radius of 4 so that it has rounded edges as well. Okay, let's move on from there. I think that's a bit far from the text below it, is it? Yeah, it is. So we'll give that like a negative top margin of like 20, 25 maybe. Okay, for this already using Slack, it's just a text field. I'm going to leave it out for now so that we can speed things up a little. Okay, so now we're going to get on to this animation bit. Like I said, it's a hack duct tape version, but we're going to do it. So let's go to our widgets here, and we're going to add, actually, let's add a new section. I'm just going to make that one column for now. Update. Now, I did go and prepare all of these icons in Illustrator, so I do have them all ready. Let's make this full width just for consistency's sake. Okay, back to widgets. I'm first going to try and see if this works as icons. So Where do I find an icon? Okay. So now I'm going to say upload SVG. Okay, we have to enable SVGs. Let's upload some files. And I exported all these assets, and you can see all of these SVG files. Open. Cool, so we got all of those there. So I'm just going to select one. I'll select this yellow Slack one. And so far so good working with the icon. So I'm going to select the column. I'm going to press Control or Command D to duplicate. And I think there were like 7 or 8 of them. So 2, 4, 6, 7. Let's just go with 8 and then we can change it. So if I select that and hit Upload SVG again, and just go through all of them, uploading them. Zendesk. Whoa, it's yellow. That's odd. Interesting. Okay. Might have to use it as an image there. They're all yellow. Yeah, I thought the icons might have a little bit of an issue. Let me try this Asana one, because I know that one was, or the HubSpot one was a bit messed up. Was it? Yeah, doesn't even display. That one. No. Okay. So I'm gonna delete all of these. The delete shortcut on Mac is terrible, so I'm actually just using the mouse. Okay, and then this I'm gonna delete, and I'm gonna put an image in here rather. And then I'm just gonna start uploading these. Okay, they'll get smaller as I add more. This is so icons has its drawbacks, but it has some positives. So if the icons work, then you can use them. They're probably just not the right format for those. Otherwise, you can use the images, but they also have drawbacks. So I'm going to duplicate this a few times. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and change them. Are you wondering what this hack's going to be, or are you just you already know what's going on? I don't know. Maybe it'll be a surprise. Let me duplicate one more. Okay, 8 is the max. So it's actually alright because of the way what we're going to do with this. So let's get that. Okay, so we've got all our icons there now, and we need to turn these into what's happening over here, sort of. Caveat. Okay, we can't make it animate like this, but we're going to do something similar. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to select this first Zendesk icon, and we're going to go to Advanced, and then we're going to go to Custom Positioning. I'm going to give this a custom width of 22 pixels. The way I got these sizes, if I use the measuring tool here, you can see they're all different sizes, ranging between like 16, I think, or 18 pixels to 22 pixels. And I think they actually grow, some of them, but it's very subtle. So that's where I got that size from. Okay, so we've got that there, and now we can we've given it a custom width, and now we can give it an absolute position. Now, absolute positioning is not great for responsive web design, and so it's got to be used sparingly. And I wouldn't necessarily, if I was building this design for a client, I would probably go the tween max route and not this route. But this is just a video to see if we can do stuff with Elementor. So we're going to do it as close and as best as we can using just Elementor. Okay, so we've made that a custom width, and now we can offset it with these things over here. So, and you'll see if you select that, you can actually move it around to where you want, and those values will change, which is pretty cool. So we've now custom positioned that, and then we're going to go to motion effects, also under the advanced tab, and we're going to use a scrolling effect. And no, not a scrolling effect, sorry, a mouse effect. And we're going to use mouse tracking, which is this one right here. And so the icon's going to move based on our mouse movements. Okay, so you can choose if you want it to move in the opposite direction of the mouse or the same direction. And we're going to use those alternately between different icons so that the motion looks a little bit more organic, so that they're not all moving in the same direction. So I'll show you what I mean when we add the second icon. Okay, and so there you can also set the speed. So you can see here, when I'm moving my mouse, the speed is relative to it. The speed actually controls the distance from the original position and the speed at which it moves. Okay, so we've got that happening. And so the way we're going to make it look a little bit more organic, like I said, the one is to change the directions and the other is to adjust the speeds. Okay, so what I can do now is I can say copy and then paste style, and so you see now they're all moving exactly the same, which is why I was saying that looks kind of terrible. But we can move these around. And now if we go into this one's advanced settings and into the motion effects and here, and we make it a little bit slower and we change it to direct, you'll see now that one moves in the opposite direction to the rest. So if we have ones close together, it would be a good idea to make them move in opposite directions so that they can sort of be independent. So let's go and okay, let's copy that. So this is just going to be a little bit of fiddling really to get it looking a bit more organic. So we've got all our things absolutely positioned, and we can drag them around, put them where we want them. It does get a little bit crazy with finding them and selecting them and stuff. Okay, so you can see that I actually have gone and created this beforehand. So I think maybe like I've given you the basic premise of what's happening here, and all you have to do to make it look more organic is to change a few things, like let's say that red and yellow one are moving too closely together. And so we will just go into settings and into the advanced settings, and then the two things, like I said, we're using our custom positioning with absolute position and the motion effects. So we can then change the custom width, so we can make these like different sizes a little bit. So we go change this blue one. We can make it a little smaller. That's also going to help. And so when someone comes onto this page, the icons will not be moving like they are on the Slack site, okay? But we do get a hack version of that with this stuff moving because of the mouse action that we've got going on. Let me go to local by flywheel here quickly and just go to view site. This is the one that I did the sort of proof of concept on before I made this video, and I think it's a little bit more complete. So what did I call it? Slack. I think it was Slack homepage test. Let me go to the admin rather. Okay, so you can see here's my page. So I'm just gonna say view. Hopefully it's better than what I've created there. I think if I remember correctly, I had it a bit more fleshed out. Yeah, so you can see it's like by changing the speed and the direction, these ones I haven't actually changed the size on them, but you can see like we're almost getting what we see here on Slack. Okay, so this is nicer because it just does it and it doesn't matter what your mouse does. The mouse thing can be a little bit annoying. I'm not sure that I would use it so much in a production site. Not that one, that one. Yeah, so, but we've gotten ourselves a little version of it. As you can see here, I did some other things where I sized these correctly and I put this in. I have actually done this, but I've disabled all the CSS changes that I made, so it doesn't look the same. But I think this video has been long enough. Hopefully, like what I've done here to show you how to achieve this has been interesting at least, and taught you something about Elementor. If you do like this video, please go ahead and subscribe, and also if you can like it, that would be great. If you can share it on social media, that would be even like the best thing you can ever do for me, basically, is what I'm saying. And yeah, if you like this video and you want to see more of it, just make a comment. I would love to hear of some sites that you would like to see if they can be done with Elementor. And cool, thank you for watching. I truly do appreciate it. You are amazing. Goodbye.